People are mad right now. We are cruising with the top down. They're mad because all the gas is out in Florida. There was that crazy flooding in one of my previous videos, guys. We got to drive up north to get some gas. We're running on fumes right now, so hopefully we can fill up. And I want to bring to you some interesting news in this video. It's crazy. The Central Bank of Russia is breaking crypto news. You barely have any time to prepare, and I'll explain why. Because the Central Bank of Russia is talking about their possibility of using cryptocurrencies for international settlement. And this is massive because the BRICS nations, you guys know, have been working on their precious metal-backed digital currency. So gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies, I am extremely bullish on, and here's why. So if you guys haven't heard this yet already, Joe Biden's electric vehicle regulations are creating an absolute disaster across the economy right now, making the U.S. more dependent on China, even more than they already are. And this is a big deal for inflation. It's a big deal for the U.S. dollar. It's a big deal for cryptocurrencies because of a few reasons. So here's what you need to know. So last week, Biden's administration announced new emission standards for vehicles with the goal of reducing carbon emissions by 10 billion tons over 3 decades. And the proposed regulation would require about 67% of new car sales to be electric by 2032. And in 2022, just last year, less than 6% of cars produced in the USA were electric vehicles, which is drastically different than the number back in 2020. And so critics of these regulations are coming out, and they're very, very concerned right now because, you know, electric vehicles obviously do have some big pros, but there are some big cons as well too compared to gas-powered vehicles. Like I drive an Audi 8 and a Ford Bronco, so obviously I'm driving gas-powered vehicles that are not the most friendly, so you can look at me like I'm an absolute lunatic and not drive an electric vehicle. However, critics are saying that battery lives in electric vehicles in cold climates don't do too well because obviously electric cars are going to suck in the winter, and the average electric vehicle costs more than $18,000 more than a gas-powered car. So for people that are used to driving gas-powered vehicles are going to have a tough time transitioning over to electric-powered vehicles. Now, I'm actually a big advocate of electric-powered vehicles because of a variety of different reasons I'm going to share with you in this video. I just like driving fast cars. I like driving my Bronco. I like driving the R8. They're fun, you know? So once electric vehicles are cooler and more fun to drive, then I could see people making the transition. It's like trying to get meat eaters to transition over to a completely vegan diet. It's going to take a lot of time, and it's going to be very, very hard to do. And China right now currently holds 78% of the world's cell manufacturing capacity for EV batteries. So China, fun fact for you, China has also been investing massively in African mines that are rich in minerals that are essential for battery production. So what they do right now is they're controlling the supply of materials, and they're controlling the supply of production for electric vehicles. And this creates conflicting regulations in the United States because last year's Inflation Reduction Act requires that EVs, electric vehicles, don't have components from any foreign entity of concern, which for sure includes China, because the U.S. is engaged in the world's largest trade and currency war right now with them, which is devaluing the dollar. Because in Jim Rickards' books, he talks about the 3 types of wars, right? There's trade wars, currency wars, and then kinetic wars, which leads to, nukes, guns, and bodies and bloodshed, right? So enforcing both the regulations at the same time isn't possible because according to the International Energy Agency, China produced about 3.5 million electric vehicles in 2020, accounting for more than 80% of the world's total EV production. So in contrast, the United States produced around 820,000 EVs in the same year, representing about only 19% of the world's total production. And some would argue that it's even less than that. And in 2022, and this is why this is important for you guys, and this is why it's important for crypto, you need to know this stuff because it affects other areas of the economy. Because in the US, it accounted for only 6% in 2022 last year. So in order for the US to grow their electric vehicle production, and to even make this possible, they would need to provide incentives and subsidies to manufacturers, dealers, and consumers to encourage the production to increase in the United States. And in order to even do that, they would need to secure access to essential mines that have the minerals needed to produce electric vehicles and the electric car batteries because of the precious metals required to do that. That I'm going to explain in a little bit. But based on the subpoena that the Republican Oversight chairman filed requesting bank records from Hunter Biden's business associates, the subpoena was issued as part of an investigation into allegations of potential conflicts of interest and financial dealings related to Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden's business dealings in Ukraine and China.
Releasing a report today that details what we have uncovered. We are also sending letters to the Biden administration officials and Biden family associates renewing our request for voluntary production of documents relevant to this investigation. This is an investigation of Joe Biden, the President of the United States, and why he lied to the American people about his knowledge and participation in his family's international business schemes. National security interests require the committee conduct investigation, and we will pursue all avenues that have long been ignored. Committee Republicans have uncovered evidence of federal crimes committed by and to the benefit of members of the president's family. These include conspiracy or defrauding the United States, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, violations of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, violations of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, tax evasion, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. The Biden family's business dealings implicate a wide range of criminality, from human trafficking to potential violations of the Constitution. In the 118th Congress, this committee will evaluate the status of Joe Biden's relationship with his family's foreign partners and whether he is a president who is compromised or swayed by foreign dollars and influence. I want to be clear. This is an investigation of Joe Biden.
And Congresswoman Taylor Greene, she posted this on her Twitter that we shared up on our community section, saying that after shuffling through 2,000 pages of financial reports in the Treasury suggesting that multiple members of the Biden family received millions of dollars through LLCs from foreign countries, which is crazy, guys. Now, I'm not going to confirm or deny these allegations right here, but I just think it is very, very wild, and this is all connected. And the reason why the news is not covering stuff like this right now, because they want to focus on how Bud Light is losing money through, their endorsement and also through Trump's indictment, rather than more important matters going on in the world right now. And on top of that, so for the U.S. to even think about competing in the EV space, they would need to invest in research and development of battery technologies that are more suitable for extreme weather conditions. So when we look at what's happening with, Biden's family and the subpoena that's taking place for that, well, if there is any truth to those allegations, I'm either going to confirm or deny those allegations, because I'm just reporting on the news for you here. And I don't have to insult your intelligence. You can come to your own conclusion. But the analogy that I can give you that would make the most sense here is, think of it like a boxing match, right? Well, if the fans are rooting, there's USA, right? And there's China, right? So you got one fighter's USA, one fighter's China. And let's say, hypothetically speaking, one of these fighters were to throw the fight. What would be a reason for a fighter to throw the fight? It'd be for money, right? If they're getting paid off. So if any of those allegations against Biden are true, and they're hypothetically speaking throwing the fight of this economic warfare, which country do you think they would be throwing the fight to and getting paid off from? Could it be China? Could it be Russia? Could it be the BRICS nations? You guys let me know in the comments below. I think there's no such thing as coincidences. Everything happens for a reason. And expanding the charge right now, China is expanding the charge with their partnerships and their whole entire infrastructure to develop new technologies that allow for more efficient and convenient charging. The United States is not doing that right now. So what they could do is impose tariffs. Well, they've tried that in the past, but that's not going to work anymore. Or they can do trade restrictions on Chinese imports, or provide tax incentives to manufacturers that use domestic or non-Chinese components, which isn't going to work because of what happened with Saudi Arabia that I talked about in my previous video, brokering deals in the Chinese yuan for oil, which undermines the petrodollar, because when the dollar was taken off the gold standard, then it was backed by petroleum, oil, with the partnership that the United States made with Saudi Arabia. Now Saudi Arabia is making those same partnerships with China and doing deals in the yuan, then they don't need the dollar anymore. So China is working with the BRICS allies and partners to develop alternative supply chains and sources of materials and minerals with their Belt and Road Initiative. So what you need to know about this, too, that pertains to all this, is the Belt and Road Initiative was launched by China in 2013 to enhance trade and connectivity between China and countries across Asia, Europe, Africa, and the Middle East through a vast network of roads, railways, ports, airports, costing hundreds of billions of dollars in investments, and considered the largest infrastructure project in history. So could there be a connection between the subpoena for financial dealings with Biden's family and this absolute takeover by China with their Belt and Road Initiative, the BRICS nations, their launching of their reserve currency backed by precious metals, their investment in, African mines, South Africa being added to the BRICS nations as well too, the petrodollar and the price of gasoline absolutely going up, the shift over to electric vehicles, which China owns the majority of production and the materials to be able to do that. Could there be a coincidence? I think not. Combine that with the fact that historically, the average lifespan of a world reserve currency has been approximately 80 to 100 years, and the US dollar became the global reserve currency 79 years ago in the 40s during the Bretton Woods moment, right? 1944. So it's interesting, right? This is very interesting to note all this stuff, how all of these things that I've been covering on this channel over this past year will be in full effect within the next decade by the 2030s, okay? The largest of which being Joe Biden's proposed budget that gross debt will rise from $30 trillion in the United States to over $50 trillion by 2033, turning the US dollar into a third world currency. That was confirmed, by the way, by the head of the Treasury, Janet Yellen, as a fact, not an opinion. So I'm sharing facts with you right now. Now, unless they change that, which it doesn't look like they're making a real effort to do so to reduce the deficit and the debt, then I personally am putting my dollars into assets to protect myself from inflation as they destroy the dollar. So what you want to do is you want to consult your $1 million financial advisor, ask them what to do, because I don't provide any financial advice at all. I'm just, as always, reporting on the news, sharing with you my plan on how I'm preparing, and what you choose to do is up to you. As always, I don't have to insult your intelligence here. You already know. You already understand that the Belt and Road Initiative, along with this electric vehicle revolution that's happening right now over the next decade, that China is investing heavily right now into iron ore. They're investing heavily into copper, aluminum, cement, steel, machinery, oil, gas, renewable energy sources like wind and solar power. They're asphalt, concrete, lithium, which is a key component in EV batteries, cobalt, another key component in EV batteries, nickel, used in the cathodes of EV batteries, copper used in the motor and wiring of EVs, aluminum used in the body and structure of EVs, and other rare earth minerals used in the magnets of EV motors and other electronic components such as your computer, your cell phone, and other electronics and production materials. So the BRICS nations right now, they're working on their precious metal-backed currency. So do you think right now, based on all of this, do you think that precious metals are go up in value? I personally feel that they will over the next decade by 2033. And also, I'm holding crypto like Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and several other altcoins I believe in because of what these countries are doing and how they're shifting to central banking digital currencies, But the most important thing that I'm doing right now to help people accumulate more productive assets that will protect their wealth long term is helping them start and grow hyper profitable businesses through, our resource in the description below. It's free to get started. You guys can check that out if you want when you click the link, or you can go to bullrunners.com, because here's the key here. Right now, if you are struggling in your life, and I struggled with this big time because it was frustrating, when I was going through school, going through college, and then I got a job, as a teenager. Sure, I'm not 60, 70, 80 years old, but the key here is to realize this stuff before you reach the age where it's too late. That's why they gave you no time to prepare for this, because while they work on this stuff behind the scenes and the biased media is covering stuff that is not relevant towards your life, like I said, like covering this Bud Light news, which is absolute nonsense. Who cares? Does that actually impact your life? No. Drinking alcohol affects every single part of your brain anyway. So it's like, sure, you're going to have a drink here and there, whatever, but is that making you any money focusing on that news? Absolutely not. So if you have debt in your life, right, if you have student loans, if you have credit card debt, medical bills, you name it, and you have little to no savings, making it difficult to cover your family's expenses, unexpected expenses, emergencies, or plan for retirement, and you feel like you're not being fairly compensated at your job for your work, and you want to be more financially secure so you don't have to worry about your day-to-day expenses, you could stop struggling, right? Stop trying to survive, and you can finally start thriving, which would improve your standard of living completely for yourself and for your entire family to have more true freedom. Then what we've been doing over the past decade is helping people prepare for what's happening in the economy right now. In 2012, when I decided to quit my job, and I haven't worked one since, it doesn't mean that I'm better than anyone. It just means that I was done being an idiot. I was done trading my time for money. I was done being ignorant on the weekends and living for the weekends and just partying and doing stuff that was not setting my future up long term, right? I wanted to be able to retire by the time I was 40 years old, let alone 30 years old. And, right now I'm in an awesome position financially where I don't have to worry about money. My business cranks out, over $100,000 per month, just one of them. And, I have passive income streams and I have awesome investments in that. But who cares about me, right? This is about helping you finally start thriving, improving your standard of living so you don't have to worry about just struggling to survive. See, that's the major key here. And when you focus on the news every single day and you educate yourself in this space and you see what's happening in the crypto space and why the cryptocurrency industry, in terms of the market cap of this whole entire industry being so small right now, right? Below $2 trillion, right? At the peak, it was like $2 trillion. Compare that to the stock market when the stock market was at the peak at $100 trillion. Compare that to the real estate market. Compare that to derivatives. You know, derivatives, like 500 trillion to a quadrillion dollars, which can you even fathom how much money that is? So I believe so much money is going to flow in this industry over the next decade. But in order for you to capitalize on that, you cannot just sit there and work your job 9 to 5 or work 2 jobs or get another job, get a third job. You can't just do that and expect to take your money and put it into the markets and become a millionaire. The majority of millionaires and even billionaires, they have businesses. So you don't need to quit your job. You don't need to go out there and get a second job, right? The book is called Think and Grow Rich. It's not called Get a Second Job and Grow Rich, right? It's Think and Grow Rich. It's leverage your time. Billionaires have leverage. They have time freedom, right? So we have time freedom to do what we want, when we want, who we want. But it's like I say, 6 Saturdays and 1 Sunday, right? If you follow my Instagram, Run Life Nick, that's in my bio, 6 Saturdays and 1 Sunday. That doesn't mean I'm just lazy doing nothing, right? I work all the time. You know, the moment that I get up, I'm working. I'm on my phone working. I'm creating content for you guys. I'm researching the markets. I'm doing this stuff, but it's fun work. It's a different type of work. I don't, you know, get up and do this stuff because I feel like I have to, like I did when I scrubbed dishes at a hospital for $7.50 an hour, where I'm just like, oh, God, I have to go do this. You know, I get to do this. I enjoy to do this because we are helping people rank up. We are helping people expand their minds. We are helping people change their financial situation. So I want you to confirm it right now. Give this video a like, comment 777 below if you're going to become the first millionaire in your family tree. Like this video, share this with a friend. They need to know this information. I'm curious on what your guys' thoughts are on this, you know, with this electric vehicle revolution, blockchain revolution, and technology revolution, and, you know, going back to a precious metal standard. Do you think that will happen, or do you think it will be XRP? Do you think it will be Bitcoin? Do you think it will be something else, you know, with FedNow, their CBDC? What do you feel is going to happen? Because we're at the most interesting time in human history, and we are prepared for it. Because you know what we're doing? We're backing up our truck all the way to the bank. We're grabbing the bags, packing them and stacking them, leaving no bags left behind, because we believe the spending power of the dollar is going to continue to go down in value. That's a fact, right? Blockchain technology, the Bull Runners Club, it's going up in value. That's the truth. And together, we're all going camping on the beaches of the moon. I will see you on the next video. I will see you on bullrunners.com. As always, you know what to do. Stay bullish.